waifus, trade fights for better views. We both need something new. Maybe we should just tell them.
Hello, hive-minded readers, and welcome to the Books and the Bees podcast. Just like bees play a crucial role in pollinating flowers and sustaining life, books pollinate minds and nurture the soul. We see the connection between the two, the delicate dance of ideas and stories that enrich our lives.
I'm Hailey.
And I'm Cody.
Welcome to our podcast.
Whoop whoop. Hello, Hailey.
Hello.
Happy Saturday for us.
Saturday.
Tuesday for the listener.
Yes, happy weekend.
Happy
Finally.
weekend.
Thank goodness. We made it.
We made it. Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
Has been a crazy week, I agree.
It's just been a crazy everything lately.
Yeah. Things need to chill out.
Yeah, they do. They so do. Yeah.
Don't they know that we're already living in crazy times? I don't need extra stress.
Yeah. Chillax, world.
Yeah.
Let us
relax.
have this. Yeah.
Relax, universe, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy. But I have been back on the reading game, let me tell you. Been back on the reading game for sure, and I'm loving it.
Nice. We love to hear it.
Yeah, it's been good. Definitely. And I'm going to have more time too, as my job is ending at the end of the month. And after that, I've got basically a month and a half off. So
Oh, wow.
I can't wait. Well, yeah, kind of. Not really, but definitely have more free time for sure. I'm looking forward to that. The first time I've had a break in 6 years, probably.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's a long time.
Just because it's been school for so long. But now I'm back. Done with school.
Done with school. Officially, done with school, or, maybe eventually you'll go back to school. Learn more things, do more things.
I think I'm done with school.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think I'm done with school. I don't think I'll get another degree by any means, for sure.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much maxed out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've done enough. I do have 3 degrees, so
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
You're officially boss level
Yeah.
in the degree world.
Yeah, there is a friend of mine. He's actually, so I just finished my PhD, and he also was in the PhD program. He finished his last year, and now he's going to med school. So
Oh my God.
Now he's getting a DO. He's getting a doctor of osteopathic medicine. And I was like, this is crazy. You should stop. You're done.
Yeah. What's 4 more years? I mean, 2 more years, whatever.
Yeah,
depending.
4 more years. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of money.
Yeah. Not interested.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok recently. This is so tangent-y, but I saw a TikTok recently of individual was interviewing. Most of them are surgeons, different specialties, but they are how much debt did you graduate with? And they were 200,000, 300,000. I was like, oh my God, I cannot. That's a house. That's a whole house, depending on where you live. That's a big house. Depending on where that you live, that's a small house, but still a house.
Yep. It's it's crazy. It's crazy how much people spend on education. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tapped out at bachelor's. I've considered getting my master's, but that's a lot of commitment.
Yeah. I wasn't originally planning on doing grad school, but got an opportunity to go, and now I have to pay for school and get paid on top of it. So yeah, that ended up helping out. But yeah, it's it kind of sucks, to be honest.
It is grueling, right? It's such a big bite to take on.
It is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But got that reading in. Now back in the reading world, ready to pop, lock, and drop it, I guess.
Pop, lock, and drop it with reading.
With reading.
Pop, lock, and pick up a book.
I don't even know what that means fully, but that's what the kids are saying these days, I guess. So.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, should we jump into what we're reading?
Yes, let's. All right. What are you reading, Cody?
Oh,
no, you go first.
Okay. So like I said, I just finished 2 really good books, and one of them I'm so excited to talk about because I've hyped it on the show before. And I read their first book, but this is the second one, and this is called The Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Leming. It is such a good book. It's very spicy. It's a 5 out of 5 for sure. It's a honeyed frenzy, 100%. But it's also like incredibly funny, and like I was laughing while I was reading the book, and there's just it's a really good mix of romance and fun and fantasy. Like it's kind of like a cozy fantasy. I wouldn't necessarily put it in cozy fantasy, but it is like kind of a chill fantasy. But it's just so so funny and very spicy. There is like tentacle action, and I won't get more specific than that. But it follows so the first book was about this girl named Cinnamon who ran a spice farm and met a demon and had to save the world.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. This book is about a girl Cinnamon's best friend, her name's Bree, and she runs a cheese store and a cheese farm. So it's very, very cute. And she ends up with the werewolf through various reasons, that gets hit with a love potion and falls in love with her. He thinks that he's mated with her. And so there's like the mated trope in this book. And so they're trying to deal with that. And it turns out the werewolf is lactose intolerant, which I thought was really funny. But it's a great book.
That's unfortunate.
It's and they have to go deal with an event. I won't get more specific than that, but yeah, it's a really good book. I don't know if you necessarily have to read the first one to read this one, but this, like, you will get spoiled for the first one reading this one.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I think we all know how these stories end up, so it's not like it's that big of a spoil. But it's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend it. It was so fun. I read it I started it last night and I finished it like half an hour ago. Super great book. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. And then the other one I'm reading is the exact opposite book. It was still good, but it's called Translation State by Leckie. And I read it because it's a Hugo nominated book, and the Hugos are like one of the big like sci-fi awards of the year. And I try to read all the Hugo nominated books, and I usually get through most of them. And so this is one of them. And I've actually never read anything by Leckie before, even though she's a pretty big sci-fi author. But I really liked it. This one was kind of like a space whodunit.
Okay.
With 3 rotating characters, 2 of which are human, and then the third one is like a part of this alien group that doesn't consider themselves human, and they're very weird in how they raise their children, and then they kind of interact together through the plot of the book. And I ended up really, really enjoying it. It was very much like a old school kind of like a mystery type of a story, and I really liked it. It was really, really good. No spice though. No spice.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. Not every book can have spice, but
yeah. Well, those both sound like really good books. So
yeah, hit it out of the park with these last 2. Can't wait to see what's next up on the docket for sure.
Yeah.
Hailey, what are you reading?
So I'm reading currently. It's called Hers to Rule by Coral Alejandra Moore. It's definitely a spicy meatball. I'm less than 100 pages in, and there's already been like 4 or 5 like on the page scenes, and I was like, okay. Yeah. It's definitely one of those books that you read purely for the sake of, at least for me, it's just like one of those books where you're just like, okay, I have to finish this book because it's like so spicy. That like every time that there's like a spicy, I'm like, it can't get any spicier, and then it does, and then I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, so it's definitely a 5 out of 5 on the honey scale. Definitely a honey frenzy. It's a book with it's got gargoyles and so far shapeshifters and witches. Which, like, you know, for the book people out there that maybe watched the Gargoyles show growing up, I don't know, it was like early 2000s, late 90s, I think. If you had a big, huge crush on any of the Gargoyles, specifically like the main character dude, and then the like female antagonist, the hell, I don't remember any of their names. But if you had a crush on maybe one of those, I don't know, might be right up your alley. At least it is for me. So
yeah, I don't remember that show.
It was like, I think it was on like Cartoon Network or something, and it was fairly short. It was a fairly short series. Very like typical. It almost reminds me of like the X-Men series kind of style of cartoon.
Oh, I do remember this. I just looked it up. I do remember this show. Holy crap, this is a trip back in memory lane.
Throwback for sure.
Damn, I forgot all about this show.
Yeah, and I don't know when it came out, but I was fairly young watching the show, and I was like very what's the word? I was rooting the two like main characters' love story on. I was like, please have a happily ever after. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of the like reminiscence of the book that I'm reading. Anyways, I don't know if that's a word or not, but yeah. And
Let's make it a word.
Yeah, it's a word now. But I finished Swift and Saddled. It was very good, very cozy. Probably like a 4 out of 5 on the honey scale for me anyways. It might be a 5 out of 5, depending on who the reader is reading the book, but there's definitely some spicy scenes. But it's just like overall such a well written, like, I don't know, the author Lyla Sage, because the first book, Done and Dusted, and it's definitely one of those series where you have to read like one book after the other because it's got like a lot of spoiler stuff as you're reading, because it talks about the other relationships from the previous books. There's a third one coming out in I think November, and just like I said, overall like such a well written book, such a well written series. I love the characters. The two main characters are Ada and Wes. And it's definitely like a country cowboy type of romance. So if you're into that, really good. And the cover, if you know what, for anything else, like the cover art on the book, if you get the physical book, like get the physical book. It's such a like beautiful artwork on the book covers for both the books. And I love seeing them on my shelves. They're so nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful covers.
Yeah, beautiful covers, yeah. So yeah, those are what I've been reading and getting into.
We're killing it. We're like reading great books right now.
Yeah.
I think this might be the first time in podcast history that we've both been reading 5 out of 5 books, like spice level 5 out of 5 books.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious if like if you ever read this series, if you'll rate them a 5 out of 5 too.
I think from what it sounds like a 5 out of 5 for sure.
If it's got tentacles, I think it's automatically
yeah, right. I'm like tentacles probably. I feel like that's an automatic categorization of the 5 out of 5.
Oh man, yeah. Something.
But yeah,
else.
I'll definitely be putting that on my TBR though for sure.
Yeah, and I'm looking so forward. Like Done and Dusted is definitely coming up. Like I've got NetGalley books that I need to read, and then I'm finally going through the holds list. But once my holds list drops down from the library, like Done and Dusted is going on it because I think I'm really gonna like it. So
I think you'll like it too. It's really really good.
Hell yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Should we jump into beekeeping?
Yeah.
So, do you have any official beekeeping?
No.
Okay. I don't have any official beekeeping, but Hailey and I, we've been talking off pod, and we are going to give our thoughts on The Assassin and the Desert. But we've decided that neither of us really like the novella collection, and so we're going to dump it.
Yeah.
Say thank you very much and move on because I honestly have no interest continuing with the other two stories.
And I share that sentiment wholeheartedly. Unfortunately, it's really unfortunate that that's kind of the vibe that these novellas, I think, I mean, we'll get into it, but overarchingly, it just seems like they definitely were meant to be read during the series, not as standalones.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. I think the reason we don't like it is because we read it late in the game. And if we had read it before certain books, I think it would have been much more fun.
Yes, I agree.
So it's not like the books are bad themselves. If you love the novellas, we're not here to judge you, but we weren't hip to the jive of when to read this book. So
we weren't in the know. Okay, like
So don't hate us. But we will share our thoughts on Assassin and the Desert, which is the third story that we had decided to do for our co-read. So Hailey, what were your thoughts on Assassin and the Desert?
I had a lot of thoughts. I definitely thought that it was better than the first two for sure. I did like that we got to see, as I kind of expected before reading this third novella, we did get to see a little bit more insight on the what are they called, the silent assassins. So we got to see a little bit more insight into that, because I feel like it's mentioned quite a bit, and I don't remember which book it's mentioned in, but it's mentioned quite a bit in the books. Selena references it often, at least, I think. So it's kind of nice to get that more rounded understanding, or like better picture of what she's referencing to when she talks about this very, like, because I mean in the series it seems like they're a very like elusive group of assassins, and we kind of get to see a little bit more of that, which was nice, I will say. So the book did have that kind of going for it. I definitely though, and I feel like this is kind of just the last two also were like this. It's very information dense for novella, which to me is such a turn off, because like if I'm gonna read, like, it's such a short story, each of these like books, so to read so much information in such a compact slice, it just feels almost like information dumping a little bit. Which does. I feel like if I would have read these books in sequence with the rest of the series, which is my fault, like, as a reader, I feel like it would make more sense to information dump like they did. However, I will say on that note, these were all released prior to these books. So if you were reading these freaking novellas before reading the series and you didn't realize that like a shit ton of books in a series were going to come out, you'd be like, what is all of this information? Like, who are these people? What's happening? So I don't know. And then I like kind of was like bummed about, I think his name was Elias, the assassin. Spoilers for anyone that, if you're not caught up with the novella, like, just stop listening now. But
good point.
the assassin king, the silent assassin's king's son, I was kind of bummed like we didn't get more of him and like more of Selena and him. It was also really annoying that like I get that Sarah J. Maas was trying to portray how much Selena loved Sam, but like we haven't gotten any Sam Selena like backstory at all, so it kind of like it and the interactions that we've had with them, both of them, they like hate each other's guts, or they're like very rude to each other, so it's almost like annoying to me to have her like have a potential love interest with this person, and it's like, I don't know, it's like she's like, no, I love Sam, and I'm like, you don't even seem to like him on the pages, but okay.
Right.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, I don't know. And I don't know if that's just like me, or if that's just, yeah. Again, I don't know. Wishful thinking, I think, on my part, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, I really felt like the whole point of this novella collection was to get us to realize why she talked about Sam all the time. And I really, like, it's just never been there so far. And so it was kind of weird that in this one, it was like the first time we had it without really either the warm up to it, or like the first novella should have started with them being romantically involved, because it just didn't feel natural at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very like accurate statement about their relationship, for sure. Yeah,
because I still don't care about Sam and Selena.
Yeah, and like
and I feel like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I agree, exactly. But yeah, and then I was kind of excited though that we got more info on the horse breed, and I do not remember what the name of the horses were.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
That was kind of cool, because also that's another thing that was referenced quite often in the series itself, in the Thornoglass series.
Yeah.
About these like majestic ass like, okay, and also when I like imagine these horses, because I'm like a horse girl, I picture, and for anyone that's like horse people, I picture like I don't even know, like a black draft horse, but also like a Frisian mixed together. I just imagine these very like sturdy, beautiful, like almost like, and I don't know if anyone's ever seen or read the book Black Beauty.
Oh yeah.
But that's like the kind of vibe these horses are giving me.
Yeah.
So that's what I imagined when I was reading these. And I think it was some point I like looked them up, because I was like, oh, I wonder what these like horses look like. I've never seen them before. And from what I could gather, correct me if I'm wrong, to our listeners, but I think Sarah J. Maas like made up this whole breed. So I don't think that they actually exist, which I'm like, bummer, because I was really hoping that I'd get like more of a visual representation of what they actually look like, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not salty about that at all.
Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah, not at all. But yeah. And I think that we also kind of got a little bit more character growth from Selena, which was kind of nice, because I feel like the first two novellas are really just her being this like very arrogant, very like adolescent seeming individual, which we got a little bit in the Thornoglass series, but not nearly as much as in these novellas. She's very, very immature.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Those are my thoughts.
Those are great thoughts. I don't have a lot to add, because I think we both are kind of sharing the same idea. I honestly, like, when the Silent Assassins were in the main series, which was really like the last book, I was kind of shocked that they came out of nowhere, because I don't remember them being referenced very often. Yeah. So it would have been nice having this before that, to like been like, oh, these guys are actually not just randomly showing up. But other than that, I really didn't feel like this novella did much for me. I didn't like Ansel, I think her name is. The one, like the Briarcliffs or whatever. I didn't really care for her in the main series or in this one. Like, she just wasn't very exciting to me. And she also was kind of random in how she showed up. So, like, I don't know. It just didn't do much for me. And I finished it, but I really didn't think I needed to. And yeah, I think I'm just going to echo your thoughts. It really just felt extremely information dense, and it would have been nice if it had been different and like more Selena and Sam's relationship, and like I was kind of expecting the assassins to be like a close-knit group, like Arobin's team to be close-knit, and there's only been like 10 seconds of them all together. And then Selena's just off doing random shit all over the world. And it's like, all right, cool. I guess that's what we're doing. But yeah it would have been nice to have more like actual assassin guild stuff happening, I think.
I agree.
So Not for me. It probably would have been in the series, I think, but yeah, not for me.
I still think that these novellas, honest to God, could have been thrown in these books at some point.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Like in a chapter, an extra. I mean, the books are already like dense enough. Like, what's one more chapter?
Yeah.
What's 70
It would have been
more
better
pages
just to introduce it when we need it, I think. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashback or something.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
Because there was I think that there's flashbacks in the series, as far as I remember.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, so we're going to talk about the rest of the series. Like, we're actually going to decompress Throne of Glass fully. I know we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, so hang tight for that. So I won't say. I think it's in Heir of Fire that she has a flashback. Aelin has a flashback. But yeah, it definitely exists. Like, it could have just been, it could have happened and it would have been a lot better for the overall scheme of the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, me too. All right. Any other thoughts on Assassin in the Desert?
Nah.
Yeah. Sorry we didn't like it. Sorry we're not.
Sorry to our listeners.
Yeah. Maybe I might read the other two like at some point. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't think I'm going to read it anytime in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, I already bought like the whole whatever like chunk of the novellas because it's harder to buy them separately. So, I mean, you know, my money's already been spent. I'll probably eventually read them because they're really not that long. I think that they're no longer than like 100 pages each, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, they're pretty short. I also bought it too, so I'm sure one day, like in like 10 years when I decide to reread the series, I'll probably read them and then I'll feel different about it, but it's going to be a while. And it might be longer than 10 years before I reread the series because it is a journey for sure.
It's a chunk of a series, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. Yes,
yeah, I won't be rereading it. I don't like rereading books. I've read it once. That's enough.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if I'll reread these or not. If I do, it'll be a long time from now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've talked about the Assassin's Blade up to where we're at, the next bit is going to be a very spoilery review and discussion on the Throne of Glass series as a whole. So every book is going to be under scrutiny. So if you don't want any spoilers for Throne of Glass, I don't know how you've dodged them at this point with us talking about them, but if you don't want any spoilers, now's a good time to read the whole series. Just pause right here, go read 8 books, and then come back and finish this episode, and then we can talk.
Come back in about 2 months when you finish the series.
Yeah. And we'll see you at the end.
Resume.
Yeah. All right, so do you want to start with our favorite books?
Yeah, let's.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, so if I had to order them, I think it would go, and just, okay, so, context for our listeners, it's literally been, like, I think 2 years now since I finished the series, so it's been a while. So, it would be Heir of Fire, then Kingdom of Ash, Empire of Storms, Queen of Shadows, Crown of Midnight, then Throne of Glass, then Tower of Dawn, in that order, and then, you know, the novellas dead last.
Yeah, solid choice. Yeah, yes. I think that's solid. For me, I have it switched a little bit, but we're pretty close, honestly. Mm-hmm. So Queen of Shadows is my favorite. I loved that book. Super good. Heir of Fire second, close second. Crown of Midnight is third for me, and a very specific reason why. Kingdom of Ash falls in the middle. I thought, and I think it was because I read it right after the tandem read that kind of did it for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that one is there. I also, on my list, put Queen of Shadows twice, but what I meant to put was Empire of Storms after Kingdom of Ash, and then Tower of Dawn. And I can't really differentiate those books very well because I did the tandem read, so they're kind of lumped together for me. So I think if I had read them separately, Empire of Storms would have been higher up. So then Tower of Dawn is, I guess, second to last, and then Throne of Glass is last. I really did not really care for that book. And then I also put Assassin's Blade at honorary last because we didn't finish it, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But
like,
yeah, like I think if I'd finished Assassin's Blade, I might have still put it above Throne of Glass. I really did not care for Throne of Glass.
Yeah. See, and I, like, for me, Throne of Glass was just, okay, so after reading, like, the rest of the series, I feel like Throne of Glass, for me, was just very, I don't, like, not well written, but it was just like, oh, okay, that one was, like, clearly the one that was trying to, like, set the scene, information dump, you have introduction to all the characters, like, it was very, like, I don't even know how to describe it, because it's not like it was not well written. It was just kind of hard to get through, you know? And if any of our listeners maybe share that sentiment, like, you understand, like, what we mean when we say it was just, like, hard to get through. And it's funny because most people that I've talked to who have also read the series, they also said that it took them forever to get through the first one, or that the first one wasn't their favorite, or it's like a running thing where it's like, just get through the first one, get to the second book, and it'll get better. Which
yes,
kind of sucks to have to tell people to do, like, when they're reading a series like this, where it's so long and so big and so much, like, character stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good series that you, like, want people to read it, but you're like, just get through the first book, it'll be okay. Like, which, as a reader, that's hard.
Yeah, it is. I'm with you because I actually hate when people tell me that. Like, I'm like, well, okay, if it's not good, why am I going to read it?
Yeah.
And so I try to avoid those types of books, but it is true. Like, if you make it through Throne of Glass, and this is also true for ACOTAR.
I agree.
Not that, like, I think I enjoyed ACOTAR, but it's certainly not the best book in that series. Like, so Throne of Glass to me was, I did not think it was very well written. It was very clearly her first, like, official book, and I think it was I think it was fanfic that was published later, and I really think you could tell. Again, no offense to fanfic, but it's, like, not edited, and, like, there's no soundboard to, like, get your opinions and things like that. So it was just very not synced up with me, and it felt like a Hunger Games, like, remastered version. And I honestly didn't care about it. And like, none of the stuff that happens in Throne of Glass really plays a big role in the rest of the show. Or I keep calling it a show, of a series.
I mean, maybe they'll make it into a show eventually. You never know. Could be a show.
Yeah, so I didn't really enjoy Throne of Glass, and I almost didn't read Crown of Midnight. It took me a long time to go from Throne of Glass to Crown of Midnight. And then Crown of Midnight is what really got me into the series. So,
okay,
yeah, Throne of Glass almost turned me off from the series completely.
Yeah, which is such a bummer because, like, once you get into the series, at least for me, like, and I'll talk more about this later on, but, like, this series holds such, like, a, like, place in my heart for, like, how much I liked it. So, like, yeah, having to get through that first book was pretty tough.
Yeah, like, I agree.
I wouldn't say that it's as tough as having to get through Tower of Dawn, for me at least, but it's up there. It's quite up there. Yeah. Yeah,
Tower of Dawn is definitely... I watched a TikTok, and Tower of Dawn was this person's favorite book out of the series.
Really?
And I thought that was wild. Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
And I think all of his favorite books were backwards. I think it was very weird.
Interesting.
But yeah, I also didn't love Tower of Dawn. I was benefited from the tandem read, so I didn't have to, like, suffer through it by itself. But I do think it would be competing for last place if I hadn't read it with the tandem read.
Yeah, and I think I love Heir of Fire so much because it was, like, the turning point. Like, she had gotten herself out, and then it was like you almost get to be introduced to her character outside of, and correct me if I'm wrong, I cannot remember, like, all the details of it, but it's almost like you get to see her character outside of Selena Sardathian, the assassin. Yep. Which I didn't really care for. Not that I wasn't like, oh, this chick's like a badass, but it was like the way that she walked through like the first couple books, it was like she was so arrogant, so full of herself, and she kind of gets like checked a little bit, which I think is why I loved it so much.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I agree. What I love about Air of Fire too is the introduction of Manon. I don't know how to say her name.
Manon. Yeah.
And is it Aiden that's the other main like character that's introduced in that book?
I can't remember, and I don't remember if that's his. Yeah, I want to say that is his name, but I truly do not remember if that was when he got. If it wasn't this one, it was the next book. But I can't remember.
I think it was. But either way, like Manon is one of my favorite characters of the whole book. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. But I just loved Air of Fire because of the rotation of that kind of those characters, and it was like you said, it was really fun to get Aelin to like be bad at something and have to build herself up, because I was very much tired of her being the assassin and being perfect, and like she came right out of this slave prison and was able to kick everybody's ass in the tournament or whatever. And then it just felt really superficial and weird to me, but then she gets broken down and rebuilt up in Air of Fire, and I do absolutely love that. I think it's really, really great.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember, and I don't remember what the quote was. I'd have to go back and look, because I know I had it written down and stuff. But like, I think that Air of Fire was also the one. It was either Air of Fire or Kingdom of Ash. I truly cannot remember, but one of those is where it has like one of my favorite quotes about like her. Sounds so stupid because I feel like it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, but it has one of my like favorite quotes about like her like fire and her like not like burning brighter. I don't know. I'm gonna shut up because I feel like I'm butchering the quote and I cannot remember what it was.
I think I do know what you're talking about. I want to say that's in Kingdom of Ash, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm trying to go back and see if I had the quote written down anywhere, but
that's something I want to be better at is like remembering quotes from books. Like I never do a good job at that, even though sometimes there are quotes that just really hit me and I just never write them down or copy them. Or like if I do on Kindle, for example, then I never go back and look at the quotes that I've highlighted. So something I need to get better at for sure.
Yeah. Well, and like I read these on my iBooks. I wasn't in like the Bookstagram space that I am currently, and I wasn't like taking my time to necessarily like write down the way that I kind of journal as I read books now, which honestly I kind of enjoy journaling, and it's a really good habit because I write down stuff that really resonates with me, whether that's like quotes or like pages of the book or whatever. And I wasn't doing that with the series, but I do remember the feeling of reading one of the two books, I can't remember which one, and being like, oh, this one really resonates with me. So.
Wow. So do you journal for every book you read?
Now I do, yeah.
Wow. Have we talked about that before? I feel like we haven't discussed it before.
I don't think so.
Wow. That's actually something I've wanted to do and just never had the energy to do it. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, I usually like, we'll just have like an open notebook next to me with like a pen, or at the end of the book I'll kind of write down like my thoughts and general feelings and stuff.
That's great.
And if I like remember a quote, or if I remember the page that it was on, or I'll take pictures. That's like for instance, I did that with the Swift and Saddled book. I like took pictures of the pages with the quotes so that way I would remember, and then I wrote it down. So
wow. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I do not do that. Yeah. I forgot where we ended up with our conversation on Throne of Glass, but yeah, Eridan was really one of those just powerful books. I read it, I think that one pretty quickly in like 2 days. Mostly because Crown of Midnight for me was like the ending of that book was such a cliffhanger when we learned that Selena is Aelin, and like that she's been hiding this identity for so long. Like that was the moment when I was like, okay, this is a series I'm 100% going to finish. Like I wasn't sure reading all of through Crown of Midnight. It was definitely better than Throne of Glass. But like once we got to that cliffhanger, I was like, okay, we're definitely going to read this whole series. Heir of Dawn did not disappoint. Queen of Shadows is like the chef's kiss book for me, because again, at the end of the book, that's when we find out the king of Ardalan, or whatever, how you say it, is not actually the main bad person. It's this other dude who's like this random like duke who's in disguise of this dark lord person, whose name I forgot. I just finished the series and I forgot everybody's name.
Lachlan? I don't remember.
Starts with an E, I think, but something like that. And you like just the fact that all this time we've been frustrated at the king, and Dorian's dad is like a super big asshole and no one likes him. And then you realize what's really been happening the whole time. I thought that was such a great book, and I just loved it. Thought it was amazing. Yeah. Loved it.
I agree.
Whoop. Oh, let's see. Should we discuss other favorite characters, since we've already talked about a couple of them?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about... Well, I guess we already kind of talked about what our least favorite book was.
Oh, yeah. I hate Throne of Glass.
Yeah, and I hated Tower of Dawn.
Rip.
Yep, R.I.P. Sorry.
Oh, R.I.P. Yeah, sorry. The beginning and the end, kind of, of the series just didn't do it for me.
The first and the second to last. Just skip over them.
But I will say, so I know that we both have different opinions about the covers, where you like the original covers and I like the newer covers. I love Tower of Dawn's cover, like the kind of light orangish color with that tower. Like it just looks really good. I like it a lot. Yeah,
I with the old covers, I just liked I don't know, I just like the little character like depiction. It just gets me. Air of Fire like cracks me up because it's like, I don't know, she just looks so otherworldly, I guess. Like she doesn't look like a person, like on the covers. So.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
But yeah, Tower of Dawn is really pretty. And it's giving like desert very much, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely like a nice desert vibe. It actually, when I think of Tower of Dawn, for those who've played Breath of the Wild and what's the new one, Tears of the Kingdom, there's like a desert region in that game. And when I was picturing Tower of Dawn, I was picturing that desert region. And so like, it actually reminds me of Legend of Zelda a lot when I think of that book, which is kind of weird, but it worked, I guess. Yeah. Okay, favorite characters. Who do you want to chat about?
Well, shit, we basically have like the same one.
We do. There is one I want to change though, so I'll let you discuss. But yeah.
So I mean, obviously, like, okay, I like Aelin specifically, not so much Selena. Selena was annoying.
Yep, me too.
But Aelin, as she hits that kind of character development, which I feel like Sarah J. Maas does really well.
Yep.
Is character
100%.
development. When she like kind of comes into her own and stops being a little shit, like full of herself, and I'm in charge and I freaking make all the rules and yeah, like that really, I was like, yes. And I say that because there's a lot of pieces of Aelin's character towards like the middle to end books, where I just really resonated with like a lot of, not necessarily like what she was going through, but like the feelings that she was having as she was going through them was very like it really resonated with me as a person.
Yeah.
So
Number one, for sure.
Yeah. Like I really loved her resiliency, her, knock me down 100 times, get up 101 sort of like mentality.
Yeah.
I really truly loved that part about her character specifically. her naivety kind of annoyed me at times, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Manon, just listen. This character, first of all, she's so badass. Second of all,
she's badass.
She goes through, like, some of the shittiest shit of, like, I'd argue any of the characters go through.
Yep. And
she still, like, manages to have, towards the end, a little bit of a heart. Like, that, you know.
Yeah.
And like, and her overall story, like, we get a lot of her, kind of backstory and a lot of her, what's the word? Like, her, what is that word? That's not backstory, but like,
I'm not sure.
Like, when, oh my gosh, like her covens and her lore. There we go.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
We get to know, like, a lot about that, and we get to follow kind of her journey as she also grows. So, I don't know. She's just one of my favorite characters for sure. And I also love how, like, ruthless she has to be, even when she doesn't want to be ruthless. So
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
she's such a well-written character because she's such a bitch. Like,
she is.
When you first get introduced to her, and then it really felt. And you know, this is something I want to talk about because I feel like you mentioned this back. This is actually slightly before we started the podcast. I think I don't know if we mentioned this on the pod, but we read Fourth Wing together as like a book club group, kind of spontaneously before the book club or before the podcast started. And you mentioned how Fourth Wing, you thought kind of had elements from Throne of Glass, and like Heir of Fire with the like dragons and all of that gave me such Fourth Wing vibes. But better, like, not, I liked Fourth Wing, so I'm not judging, but it was so much more intense. And then she picks the dragon who's like supposed to be food for the other dragon.
Yeah.
And like, you really kind of get that whoa, sorry, just had a really loud car drive by our house. Oh my gosh, that was crazy loud. So yeah, like she takes that dragon and like makes it work, and I just love that part of it. And then it's just slowly throughout the rest of the series, she's like the person who hates everyone, but then like makes sure they're staying hydrated and holds their hair out of the toilet when they're puking at the bar.
Yeah.
Like she's
like very much the big sister that's like tough love.
Yeah.
But I love her.
I do too. I think she's a great character. Yeah, she's great.
And then my third character was definitely Lysandra, or Lysandra. I don't know what the correct pronunciation of her name is, but I really, 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 really wish that we got a shit ton more backstory on her. I feel like we were kind of gypped as far as that goes, with her story kind of coming out towards the end about like her uncle. I can't remember which.
Uncle, and it was like
it
was like a one-off almost.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
there could have been a lot more with it. I agree.
Yeah. So you know, but her like character overall, again, she's very resilient. She's a really big fucking badass. Like, she's a shapeshifter. Are you kidding me? That's so cool. And she really like saves the day quite often. Like, Aelin gets them into a lot of trouble throughout their journeys through like the last few books, and I feel like Lysandra is very much like the powerhouse. It's like, no, I got you, don't worry about it, where she's like literally sacrificing herself. Like the sea dragon, I can't remember what it was, when they were in the Skull's Bay, and Lysandra like literally saved their asses by like turning into a freaking dragon. Like, that to me was so badass. Yeah, literally. Like, that whole thing wouldn't have been successful without her. So, you know, I just really wish that we would have gotten more of her in the book.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna agree with you. Like, we do have a very similar character list here, and Lysandra is definitely one of my top. For one, she's like super funny, and she you know, she's raised or like trained as a sex worker, I guess, you know, is the term that we use, and kind of puts herself up by her bootstraps, and then she just becomes this super like kick-ass person and like puts herself on the line for everybody in the series. And I just have a lot of respect for her, and like the kid that she's raising, the daughter, I forget her name, like the adopted daughter, that was always a really cool part. And then her relationship with Aiden, which I think is how you say his name, I don't know, but that's what I called him. I really loved their relationship. I think it's one of my favorite ones in the book. And it was just really, really great. Yeah, totally agree with you.
Yeah. And then my last one, and obviously this is not an exhaustive list. There was quite a few other characters that I was like, wow, I really like them. My last one was, I want to say it was Fenris, and he's the wolf, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, wasn't the wolf Aiden's dad?
The hell was his name? Hold on, give me like 5 seconds. Let me figure this out.
I think Fenris might have been no, maybe he was the wolf. I don't know. They kind of blended in. I say this and now I'm like, I don't remember, and I have to remember, or it's gonna really bother me.
Just 1 second. Yes. Okay. Yeah. He was the twin brother that ended up staying. Spoilers, you guys. Like, please, listeners.
So many spoilers.
This is like so spoilery. But he was the one that went with Aelin when she got locked in the coffin.
Right. Okay. Yep. That's right.
And he's my favorite because of that.
Yeah. That was so. You're so right about that. I actually forgot about that. You're so right. That was crazy. Yeah.
That whole. And I don't remember which book that was, but that whole scene, or, you know, like, every time that it flashed back to her being locked in the iron cage or iron coffin or whatever the fuck it was, I, like, tears down my face, crying, because I was like, this is so messed up, and I was just, like, either waiting for her to die, waiting for someone to come rescue her, and the whole time, I was just, like, her, again, Aelin's resiliency in like towards the end of the book was just like out of this world. I could not have been locked in a coffin like that without losing your like absolute mind. And to a certain degree she kind of did, but
yeah, she did.
You know.
Yeah, that was Kingdom of Ash. That was the first part of Kingdom of Ash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
so true.
That's my last one.
Yeah, my last one I listed is Aiden, and I do really like Aiden. Actually, like I liked him from the beginning when he was like pretending with that ring to be under the spell, and all of that. Like I really liked, and his character development is also great. Like interacting with his father and kind of getting into the headspace of actually being Aelin's second, and all of that. Like I just really, really liked his character, and I loved reading his chapters. But I also got to give a shout out to Rowan, who was just awesome as the instructor in Heir of Fire. I just loved him in that book. And then, you know, we find out he's Aelin's mate. And it's just a really good relationship, because I was nervous that she was going to be stuck with either Dorian or Kale.
God, I know.
And I was like, please don't pick either one of these people.
I know. I was waiting for it.
Yeah. Rowan's like a breath of fresh air, and he was really good. I liked him as a character a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%.
All those Fae, like the Fae cadre or whatever, were really good.
Yeah, I agree. I wish again that we would have gotten a little bit more of them also, and maybe we do in the novellas. I don't know, but like I was kind of bummed. I was like, man, I really wish that we got more backstory on them, because I feel like some of them really got gypped, you know, as far as like their time to shine in the books.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and Sunny listen.
Someday, hopefully, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last time we talked about Throne of Glass, but I think there is a rumor that maybe she's writing something else for Throne of Glass. So you never know.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll go find some like fan fiction. I'm sure there's some fan fiction out there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
there's one thing that I love to do. I love to continue series by reading fan fiction where people do like alternate universes, but like they essentially just like rewrite the endings or they'll like rewrite certain parts, and I'm like, oh, yes, this is my bread and butter, truly. So.
I've never done it. But I'm also kind of like I don't want to say purist because that makes me sound kind of douchey, but I don't know. I like to watch the original stuff, and then remakes are not really my thing, for example. And so I try to stick with the original content. But, you know, sometimes you get really great stuff out of remakes, so I can't judge too much for sure. And like fanfic is great. I have no qualms against fanfic, obviously.
Yeah,
for sure.
Listen, there's been some shows that I've finished and been like, nope, I did not like that, and then I went back and read some fan fiction. I was like, yep, no, this is better. I like this better. This is actually how this ended. So yeah, that other ending didn't happen.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
And sometimes it's better written. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
I 100% believe that. Yeah. I believe that too. 100%, totally.
Yeah.
All right. Least favorite character?
Yeah, least favorite characters. Let's get into it.
Kale. It's so bad.
Kale. Little kale salad.
Dude, he's the worst.
He's so bad.
Like, I just don't give a shit about him. I maybe cared about him a little bit in Throne of Glass, but that was about it. Because Dorian was a piece of shit in Throne of Glass.
Yeah. Big
just
time.
that whiny little prince vibe.
Oh, God.
And then... like throughout the series, Dorian kind of increased in stock value for me.
Yeah.
And then Kale just plummeted. Like after, I guess it would have been Crown of Midnight. Honestly, he just kind of tanked, and then it just got worse. And I think Tower of Dawn was supposed to be his redemption arc, and it wasn't for me at all. I don't give a shit about Kale's redemption arc.
Yeah.
And his daddy issues, I don't care about his daddy issues. Like, grow the fuck up. You're an adult ass man.
Yep.
And the cripple thing, like the handicapped originally, then going to Tower of Dawn to getting fixed, and then ending up having to still depend on his wife, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Yeah. Why? Irene?
Irene, yeah. Irene. It just was so weird. Like, either keep him handicapped or don't.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he seemed to be doing just fine
vibe.
as like he seemed to be doing just fine as a handicapped person, like, you know. And honestly, I think that I'm not going to finish that sentence. I'm not even going to say that finish that statement. I was going to say I almost liked him a little bit better when he like kind of got knocked down a peg, because his ego throughout the first like however many books until that happened was so big and so annoying.
Yeah,
and
true.
He was just like, he gave me like, and I do not like characters like this where they're like the whiny little do-getters that like get in the way of the main character like progressing throughout the story. I hate characters like that, and I get that they're necessary sometimes, but my god, like there was a couple times throughout the book where I was like, I wonder if he's like a spy, or I wonder if he's like a double crosser, or he's gonna like at some point like screw them over. There was quite a few times, and I don't remember at what points, but I remember getting that feeling quite a bit where I was like, oh, I wonder if like he's double crossing, or I wonder if he's like the mole in there, you know, where he's secretly whatever those things were called, controlled by the bad people. But yeah, I really did not like him, and I didn't like that he was kind of a shitty friend to Dorian, and kind of really a shitty friend to Selena / Aelin. Like, truly, just God, it's like his problems are so much bigger than theirs, and I was like, dude, you and your daddy issues need to chill out. Like, please. I wholeheartedly agree with you on the daddy issue thing. That thing drove me nuts. Like,
it's so true. And like, he was always so like you said, holier than thou. Like, he felt like he was like a religious like person, just snobbing on everybody, because he was like, oh, I can't be friends with Selena because she's a murderer. Yeah. Right after this guy murdered like 10 people. But it was for duty, you know, so it was different. And it's like, bro, right? Shut the fuck up. Like, you have no idea what she's been through. You should not be judging someone because of the path they chose, and like, fuck you. Like, fuck
no,
you, bro.
I agree. And like gosh, like, now that you said that, him and his like holding her being assassin over her head every chance he got so old.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Like, oh, God.
So bad. Such a terrible character.
I did not enjoy Tower of Dawn, and I was honestly kind of mad that I read Tower of Dawn when it was literally only about him. Well, for the most part. Like, and I get that, like, him going there and us meeting Irene, whatever her name was kind of crucial to the whole plot of a story, like, progressing into the last book. But, second to last book?
Yeah.
Last two books? Whatever.
Yeah.
Just, oh, God. Like, and even then, like, the amount of times that he just was like, woe is me, I'm just a nobody who can't do anything right. Better, like, make this other girl's life miserable because I am wallowing in my pity. Like, that whole book. And I was just like, this is miserable to read.
Yeah, so true.
Miserable.
And then, like, so then they get past it and they go back in Kingdom of Ash. And the first thing they do is, like, they go save his dad's town or castle or whatever. And I was like, who gives a shit about this random ass castle? It's in the middle of nowhere. There's a bajillion other castles that are probably being destroyed. Like, and Kale doesn't give a shit about his family anyways, because his family was a piece of shit. Like, his family's terrible. And, like, you know, cut off the bad people in your life. But I didn't need to read 100 pages of fighting in a castle that literally I don't give a shit about at all.
I agree.
Like, just cut that out of the book. Just get Kale to Aelin and call it a day. Like, we don't need the rest of this garbage.
Yeah, we really didn't need that whole little bit. I agree.
Ugh, so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, you have other characters that you didn't like.
I do. Which, I mean, I think I've already kind of talked about Selena and how I didn't really like her in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'll second that.
I wasn't a big fan of Dorian's character. Not necessarily like, towards the end, he was okay. I really wasn't that, like, keen on him being with Manon or ending up with Manon. Like, that kind of annoyed me. Mainly just because he was kind of similar in Kale, where he was, like, this princely dude that was like, oh, what was me? I'm just a prince who, like, can't become a king, and my daddy doesn't love me. And I was like, okay, like, I think this is enough. Like, you know, I feel like Dorian and Kale were very similar characters, except, as, like you mentioned, Dorian kind of, like, had character growth where Kale really kind of didn't. Yeah, and again, Dorian's, him constantly, like, critiquing, I want to say he critiqued Aelin, Selena, whatever, like, quite a bit too, which also made me really mad a lot. Because I was like, your dad has been possessed by these people for, like, ever, and, like, please. I don't know. He just really was, like, not the, like, most amazing main character, I don't think, anyways.
No, he wasn't.
Like, truly my opinion, so.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think similar thoughts. I thought he was better at the end, but, like, I was happy. It seemed like he was getting less, like, on-page time at the end of the series, and I was okay with that. Yeah. I liked the Queen of Shadows ending, where he, like, reveals his whole power, and him and Aelin basically destroy the castle. Like, I thought that was a good transition for his character. And then he kind of turned into Manon a little bit, where he, like, stopped caring as much. And I actually ended up being okay with him at the end. And I liked that him and Manon, like, they didn't end up together, but they were like, you know, we might hang out on the DL occasionally.
Yeah.
I thought that was okay, but yeah, he wasn't by far on the top of my character list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then my other two were just, like, Arabin and Maeve. And, like, Maeve, I mean, she was literally a bad guy, like, but a very well written, like, evil character, you know, like, I love when authors write evil characters evil to their core, who like, you know, like are just evil, and that's it. Like there's just no like real saving them, I guess.
But did you feel bad for her? I kind of felt bad for her in Kingdom of Ash. Really?
No. No, I did not feel bad for her. Mainly, and I'm trying to remember, jog my memory for a second, because I'm trying to remember what, because was it, okay, so she, her lover, or was it her lover? Yes.
Her husband.
Husband, okay, like unrequited love.
Mm-hmm.
And then
she was married to one of the three bad like kings, whatever
right,
they were called.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it was the oldest one.
Right.
And they lived in this really sad, depressing world, it sounded like, where there was like no sun and everything was dark. And so she found a way to get to the world that Throne of Glass takes place in.
Right.
And then she ends up making keys to keep her here and prevent her husband from finding her.
That's right.
And like I felt bad for her when she was like talking about her world and like there's like no sun, there's no flowers, there's no color. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks. But then like she was totally an evil character, and like I didn't like feel bad for her in the sense that I think she should win, but I did. I was like, oh, it's kind of a drag. And then like the three kings were pretty terrible. So
I think I didn't feel so bad for her because of the way that she treated the Fae men, and
that's so true.
The way that she like essentially like hoodwinked a whole like city of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That was one of the main reasons why I was like, okay, like I'm sorry that your life was so like sad and miserable before, but like that doesn't mean that you get to make everyone else's world so sad and miserable just because your world's sad and miserable. Like that's kind of your choice, my guy. So
that's true.
That's why I like had little to no remorse for her. And I get what like Sarah J. Maas was trying to do, you know, when she was kind of giving us that like backstory about like why Maeve was Maeve, but
yeah.
Sorry.
And I will say, like, since we're talking about Maeve and like opening up the world and like how there's different worlds, quick shout out to Akatar in Kingdom of Ash, where we see a glimpse of Rysand. That was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, oh, that was cool too.
Yeah. But I'm glad I read Akatar first, because I would not have gotten that at all, and I would have forgotten about it completely if I hadn't read Akatar.
Right.
So yeah, definitely read Akatar first, and then read Throne of Glass, strictly for that one page cameo.
A little nod to the. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I don't know. I read Throne of Glass after Akatar too, so I feel like I probably wouldn't have gotten that. And imagine waiting that long to like understand what the hell that was about.
So true. Yeah, because I'm not sure, I don't know, like in her publishing world, like, because I know she was still finishing Throne of Glass when she was working on Akatar. So I don't know like when Kingdom of Ash came out in relation to Akatar, but it would have been pretty hard to keep it live as it was happening in track. I think it would have been pretty hard to do that.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop.
I agree.
Is there any other characters you didn't like?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, to be quite honest.
Oh, you said Arobin already. Yeah,
Arobin. I mean, but we all kind of, I mean, he was just like,
I kind of
really
forgot about him.
Person. Like,
yeah.
I'm really glad that he got his comeuppance. That's, you know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, totally agree. So, but what are our thoughts about the series overall?
I have quite a bit. On it, like, I mean, as I said before, one of my favorite series of all time, truly, especially as an adult. I'm sure there's tons of series that I loved growing up, but I don't think I've read a series since Throne of Glass that I was like, oh my god, this series is fucking amazing. So that's just my thoughts on that. And then, okay. And this just might be a me thing. I don't know. But this whole series, though, while I was reading it, with, like, the word stones and the portals and the, like, traveling through worlds to, like, get to better places and, like, collect treasure and shit, and destroy other worlds, it was giving me big Treasure Planet vibes, like the Disney movie. And there's a quote. Okay, hold on, because I pulled up the quote. Give me like 5 seconds. There's a quote in Treasure Planet where the main bad guy, spoilers for Treasure Planet, if you haven't watched it, go watch this movie. It's one of my favorites. It's a Disney movie. It's a good movie. But there's a character in the movie where he's like the pirate king dude, and he like betrays the other main character, Jim, but he tells him at some point, like during the movie, he said, "You're gonna rattle the stars, you are." There's a quote in the Throne of Glass book that says you could rattle the stars, and that I was like, listen, I have this theory that I think that Sarah J. Maas was big pulling from Treasure Planet. Just a little, like, because why would you, like, put "you're gonna rattle the stars" when Sarah J. Maas, if you're listening to this by some miracle chance, was that true? Because I'd like to know. I have questions. Like, where did you get that from? Because the parallels that I was pulling, I was like, listen, Miss Ma'am, it's giving Treasure Planet.
That's so funny.
Yeah, when I read that quote from the book, I was like, oh my god. But yeah.
God, I haven't watched Treasure Planet since probably it came out the first time.
Watch
it
in
theaters. Yeah,
please watch it. It's seriously one of my favorite Disney movies ever.
It's definitely like one of those B-rated, like B colloquially Disney movies that's like really good, because I remember really liking it. It's just one of those that I just never rewatch for some reason. But yeah, I should rewatch it because it's good. Yeah,
no one really talks about it. No one's like in the Disney community, like no one's like, oh my god, Treasure Planet. I feel like it's just one of those ones where like if you watched it and you know it's a good one.
Yeah, that's so true. It's very cult following for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then the wolf scene, obviously, as I already mentioned, with the iron
yeah,
I want to say it was the iron coffin, and I put iron cage, but that made me just cry. A lot in this book made me cry, to be quite honest. There's quite a few moments. The moment with Manon and Abraxas, that just tore me to shreds.
Yeah.
The 13 tore me to shreds. Aelin in the iron coffin tore me to shreds. Elide, was that her name? The little girl who was broken. Yeah. Her story tore me to shreds.
Oh, that was tough. Yeah.
Oh God, that was just sad.
I liked her arc. Like it was a good arc. Yeah.
I agree. My other thoughts about the series, again, Sarah J. Maas, if you're listening to this, please, for the love, write books. I need like Manon's book, I need a Lysandra book, and I need a Nehemia, because you did her so dirty. Like, how dare you? First of all,
that's true. That's so true.
She
died so early in the series.
I need books about all of them because they're just so good, and I feel like they just didn't get the like storytelling that they needed. So.
Yeah, I think a Manon book would be amazing.
Yes.
A Lysandra book would be good too, but like I would love to see like how Manon was raised and like situations like that, and then post Kingdom of Ash, like how she rebuilds the witch community. Like I'm so excited.
Yes.
I would love to see that play out.
I agree.
It'd be so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I also would kind of like a little bit more on the Fae men, please. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, just a little bit. I'd love to have their, like, backstories and, like, their after stories and what, you know, I just need it. Okay?
Yeah, that'd be cool, too. I'd like that a lot. Yeah, I think my thoughts echo yours. This has definitely been the biggest series I've read, I think, in a really long time. Like, probably Harry Potter is the next biggest, honestly, because I haven't read, like, any big fantasy, like Robert Jordan and, like, all that shit. Like, I haven't jumped into that stuff yet, but this is definitely an epic fantasy, start to finish. It's got a lot of action, and it really does kind of leave you wanting more, with the caveat that Throne of Glass is not super amazing. And I feel super resolved at the end of the series. Like, as much as I want to learn more about the other characters like Manon and Lysandra, I feel like the story itself was wrapped up so well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I don't like the novellas. It's like, I'm like, oh, we're done with this. Like, Selena is not really Selena, and so none of this matters to me. Yeah. And so, like, she turns into Aelin, and then she saves the world, and that's the part that matters. Like, I don't need more Aelin content. I need more, or I don't need more Selena content either. I need more other character content.
Yeah.
But the series, I think, is wrapped up beautifully. I really can't say there's a weak link in the series. Even Tower of Dawn, like, as much as it's about Kale, who's just a crap character, who I don't like at all, I think he does play a part in the story. And if you cut him out, I think it does make the plot weaker. Because I think it's nice having a character like that who's really just not somebody that grows. And he's like the only character that doesn't grow in the whole series. Which is what go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that, like, Tower of Dawn, also some really pivotal things happen in that book that, like, aren't necessary for the continuation of the story.
That's true.
So
yeah, that's true. And like, that's the main thing I love about Sarah J. Maas books, is that the character development is always just amazing. Like, ACOTAR had amazing character development. Throne of Glass, so many characters went from shit to amazing, and it's just so great, because I love characters are like the reason I read books for the most part. We should actually have an episode about that. There's something called Doorways, where the reason you like a book is there's 4, and it's by this famous librarian whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's basically like people read books for either the plot, the characters, the setting, or the writing style. And I'm a big character/setting reader.
Same.
So, like, when characters are written really well, that you feel like you can be friends with them and chat with them, like, that is what makes me love a book. And her books are like that. And it's so great to just see how well they do and see the characters develop throughout the pages in every book. Like, it's just, it's good. It's just really, really good. Yeah, and I love the series. I don't know if it's my favorite series ever, but it's definitely in the top 5. Like, it's great. It should be considered, in my opinion, one of the best fantasy series. I feel like it gets a lot of rep in the book talk world, and I'm kind of calling out the men here a little bit, because I feel like the men fantasy readers never mention Throne of Glass, and they should, because like, it's definitely in, like, the Wheel of Time, I forget what the other big, like, fantasy series are, but it's definitely up there, and it should be recognized as, like, a top fantasy series for sure.
I agree. I'd say it's, like, up there with, like, Lord of the Rings and, like, that sort of, like, Game of Thrones, like, the amount of, like, fuckery that happens within this, like, series, and the amount of times you're like, oh shit, like, that's happening while this person's doing that. Like, there's a lot of intricacies that happen within this book overall, or series overall, that I think definitely puts it up there for sure for me.
Yeah, and it's better than in my opinion, it's better than Game of Thrones because it's finished. Like, I haven't been waiting for 12 years for one book to come out. Like,
right.
It's done. Like, she finished it in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah. It's a great series, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. Cool. Do we have any other thoughts we want to share?
Yeah. If well, was there anything that like made you go like, what the fuck, like when you were reading?
Honestly, for me, like, I don't know if there's anything in the book per se, but like, I just really hated Throne of Glass. I just want to say that one more time. The Hunger Games like competition vibe of that book just doesn't do it for me at all. Like, that it feels so different than the rest of the series that it's, and I might never read that book again. I might just skip it because honestly you don't need to read it. There's a character that does play a role in the later part of the series, but other than that, like, you really just don't need to know much about Throne of Glass. So that's all I have to say about that.
I to a degree share that sentiment for sure. Yeah, I'll never.
What about you?
I'll never forgive Sarah J. Maas for what she did in Nehemia or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but listen, she did not have to die like that. Okay,
that was rough.
She didn't. When I read that part in the book, I was like, oh my god. I like put the book down. I was like, well, my phone. I put my phone down and I was like, nope. Got to take a break out of that after that because that was something else. And same with like the 13. I get that was like a big character development part for Manon, but the Coven, the 13, her squadron, for lack of a better term, why? That didn't have to happen.
That's true.
And yeah, if my other thing is if we could hang out with one character, who would it be and why?
Okay, so we have the same person on our list. I'm gonna pick somebody else just to make it work because I think you have the right answer. So I'm gonna start by saying that. But for me, we haven't really talked about her, but Alid is the one who she was like the Duke's niece or something, and she ends up with a hurt foot that doesn't get taken care of, and so she has this like severe limp, and then she ends up becoming mated with Lorcan. Is that right? Is that the...
Yeah, I think that's who that was. Lorcan, he was like which I loved him, to be honest.
Yeah, I did too.
He was like the broody fae dude that was like super powerful and like up there with like Rowan.
Yes. Yeah. I really liked her arc and her storyline, and I think she'd be really cool to hang out with. Just because I feel like she's been through a lot, and she's one of those characters that's like, she knows how to take care of herself and is like super strong, and I just really liked her. Yeah.
She also, throughout that book, she really did not give up. Like, she was really handed a shit platter, and she was like, okay, guess I'll make some pies out of this, because
that's true.
That's what I have to do in order to survive, or I will die. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed her character, too.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I also, like, I kind of got a little bit of, like, a little sister vibe from her, like, in relation to Aelin and, like, Lysandra and stuff, and I was really happy for that. And Manon, I think, too, also.
Yeah, like, she's definitely, like, the three women are Aelin, Manon, and Lysandra, and then Alid's kind of like the younger sister that, like, joins onto the group, and I really like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, cool. Who would you hang out with, Hailey?
It would be Lysandra. And I said
she's cool.
specifically as the snowcat, or whatever 100%,
it was. 100%.
I love her.
Yeah, I love that Aiden was like, please don't turn into a snowcat, and then the rest of the series she's like a snowcat all the time.
She's like, so I'm gonna be a snowcat the whole time, just for you. Yeah, I loved her.
I always was nervous, like, because she'd go and she would eat people in the battles as a snowcat. And then like there was times when she would like throw up as a human, like blood. And I was like, what is this doing to your digestive system when you turn back into a human and you like have like you are a cannibal basically.
I thought that too. I was like, this girl's out here eating people, and then she's like throwing it up because her body's like, yeah, no, we can't eat that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Or like when she was the sea dragon and she eats like pieces of wood, like from the ships that she's attacking, and I'm like, bro, that's gonna kill you if you turn back into a human. That just was
one splinter just takes her out.
Yeah. But she was such a badass character. Like I like her so much. She's such a good character.
Yeah, and I liked her in the beginning too when she was like kind of being a little bit of a shithead to Aelin, or Selena, whatever. Because like Selena was like seeing her as competition when in all reality Lysandra was like, nah fam, like I also hate Arabin. He's also like a scumbag to me too and like a predator. So, I don't know. I just, her whole character throughout the whole series, I just really loved.
Yeah, top tier for sure.
Top tier
for sure. Yeah. Well, did we cover it? Did we just decompress Throne of Glass completely?
I mean, maybe not in its exhaustive entirety, but I think we did a pretty good job.
I think we did too. So, Throne of Glass is great. We obviously recommend it. So if you haven't read it, for one, you should not have listened to this episode because you're going to get a shit ton of stuff ruined. And two, check it out because it's great. It's really good.
Such a good series. And tell us what your thoughts were. If you have thoughts on Throne of Glass, tell us what they were. Tell us if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with us, if you don't agree with us. I want to know.
Yeah, please. And the best way to do that is to email us at booksandthebeespod@gmail.com or reach us at Instagram at booksandthebeespod. We'd love to interface with you there, so shoot us an email. Send us a Instagram message. What are they called, those? DMs?
A DM.
Send us a DM.
Yeah, slide in our DMs.
Slide in our DMs. Comment on our posts. Like, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Because we talk about Throne of Glass all the time on this podcast, so we're ready to chat about it some more. Exactly. So you can also, if you'd like to, give us a review on your podcast listening app because it does help us get more listeners, and we would love to grow the hive mind. So give us that review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever you're listening to, because it does really help us, and it's a great way to support us without giving us any money because we don't. Yeah. We don't ask for money, but we do ask for reviews. We do this for free. For you. Because we enjoy it. Yes, we do. And then I want to give a shout out, as always, to the American Indie for the use of their song Rendezvous. It's our intro and outro song. They have great content on Spotify and other places where you can find music, so go give them a listen as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I'm ready. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this literary journey as much as we did. If you're buzzing with excitement, don't forget to subscribe, email us, and leave a Hive 5 worthy review on your podcast listening app. Until next time, happy reading, and may your shelves be filled with tales as enchanting as a blooming garden. Keep the buzz alive, and we'll catch you in the next chapter. Bye for now. Bye.